Hello, so I am D. Charles Finney and receive RK2NCS1058. In this video, I am going to explain about the user-defined functions. We have 5 questions here, and the first question is create a program to implement calculator for plus operator, minus operator, division and multiplication operators, and we have to give the input such as num1 and num2, and we have to give the input enter number and enter the number 1 and number 2. So I am using PyCharm for it. I have defined, we should define a function, so I have defined add and subtract, multiply, divide. So I have defined the function as add and subtract. So this is the num1. I have created initialized the variable as num1 and num2. So num1 and num2 and print sum is equal to num1 plus num2. So if here we have given x is equal to int input enter a number, we have given int, so it will user can enter a number. If we don't give int, it will automatically take as strings. So we give int here. If the user enter number 1 and number 2, and he chooses the operator for one in the 4 operators, it will this part will work. So if it is addition, it will print num1 plus num2. If it is the difference, subtraction, it will num1 minus num, and it is product, it is num1 multiplied by num2, and it is quotient, it is num1 divided by num2. So we define the function here, and in this part the user enters the value, and if O is that is the operator is plus, we are declaring the functions here add and subtract and multiply. If we give the function, we should finally call the function or declare the function. So we give if is plus operator add xy, minus operator subtract xy, multiply xy, divide. So we are going to run the program and see. I'm going to enter a number 20 and 50. I'm going to give the operator as multiplication operator. So the product 50 divided into 20,000. So the program is unsuccessfully. Next is create a program to print all the prime numbers between n1 and n2 using user-defined function get prime number n1 and n2. So for getting prime number, we should between two numbers, we should they are in the question, they have given generate prime number n1 and n2. This is the function given in the question. So we are giving define generate prime n1 and n2 and print the prime numbers n1 and n2. If this function execute, it will come to this part to print prime numbers between n1 and n2. So for I range n1 comma m2 plus 1, it is for if we are giving 1 to 5. If 5 should also be added, we should give plus 1. So then only 5 will be also added. So we are giving plus 1. We are initializing c is equal to 0. For j is 1 comma I plus 1, and if this is the perfect logic for a prime number, that is I is divided by j. If it is 0, it will execute c plus 1 is equal to 1, and if c is equal to 2, print I end. So if it is going to execute this part, and x is equal to input, when I run the program, we are giving between 10 and 20. So the prime number between 10 and 20 are 11, 13, 17 and 19. So these this part is done, and it goes to this print part, and it prints this part. So it gives 11, 13, 17 as the correct. Next we go to the next program. Create a program to generate the following pattern using user-defined functions called star, square, pattern, rows. For the given rows, we are going to print square. This function is star, square, pattern, row. So we are given define star, square, pattern, rows. For we are use for loop, that is for I in range rows. If I is equal to 0, it is going to print vertical, or I is equal to row minus 1, it is print horizontal. This else part should be present, so that only this step it leaves space in between them, so we can get a perfect square. We have added star in between. If we give anything, it will print as exclamatory square, or it is print as plus square. We have given star, so in the question also they have asked star, so we are going to print star. If we run the program and enter how many our numbers, it's going to give 6. The number of rows I have entered is 6, and the square pattern is formed correctly with the star. And the next question is, define a function whether it's a perfect number, an integer number as the input, and check for the perfect number or not using above function perfect number. So we are using the function perfect number. Perfect number is nothing but a positive integer that is equal to the sum of its proper divisors. So if in this function we have defined the function as this perfect number is equal to number variable, and c is equal to 0. For we are used for loop here for I in range 1 comma number, and if the number is multiplied by I and if we get 0, and if c is equal to number, it will print. If this condition is true, it will print as a perfect number. That I have said, a perfect number, a positive integer that is equal to the sum of its proper divisor. So if this is the formula and the logic for the perfect number, so if this is correct, it will print it is a perfect number. If else, it will print as it is not a perfect number. And we have declared this is a perfect number x. We have declared at last here, and x is equal to input. Here the user is going to enter the number, that is enter a number. I'm going to enter not a perfect number. 1 2 3 is not a perfect number, right? So it is printed as it's not a perfect number. So I'm going to give 28, or 28 is a perfect number. When we add this, it can be sum is own devices. Sum is equal to sum of own devices. When I give 496, it is also a perfect number, so the code is run successfully. Next we go to the next question. Write a program that computes an investment report. User defined function called compute investment initial amount, period, rate, and interest rate, and output the result as given in sample output. The input to this program is the initial amount to be invested, a floating point number, a period, an integer, a percentage integer, and we are going to function. The function here is compute investment initial amount, period, and interest rate. So here we have defined the function, define compute investment principal, the time and rate, and print this percentage 20s is for leaving space between that. It should come in a orderly manner in a row, right? So if we want to leave space in Python programming, we can give percentage 20s, so it leaves space for each. So we are given 4, so we has 4 headings here: starting balance, interest, ending balance. So we have given 4 percentage 20s, and total interest is equal to 0. And we have used for loop for I range is equal to 1 comma time. And the amount, this is the formula for amount is equal to principal plus 1 plus rate divided by 100, and interest is equal to amount minus principal. So print this I principal and interest amount should be printed under the year, starting balance, and see in the line, right? So we have given this space for this also, 20 percentage 20d. So when we run the program, we can understand how it's going to give the space. And first I will explain this. Total interest plus is equal to is interest, and print ending balance space here amount, and separator we have used here, and print total interest earned is total interest minus percent, and p is equal to float. In the question they have asked us to give a float number, so they enter the initial amount we enter will be in a float, and r is equal to the rate of interest and int time period, and we have called the function finally. When we run the program, we can understand the space between. Okay, when I run the program, the initial amount is 1 lakh, and the rate of interest is 5 and period is 5. So when you run it, we have got the correct in correct order. So we have space here, right here, space, starting balance space, and interest space. So we are given the percentage 20s for the space in between them, so it comes in a correct order. So it has done the formula correct, and the spacing also has been correct, and the ending balance is the 1,27,628, and the extra amount, that is after 1 lakh, it's going to be the total interest earned 27,628. So the code is run successfully. That's all. Thank you, sir.